Henry Garcia. The greatest coach of all time. Most people know Ryan Garcia. The Flash. King Ryan. 24 wins. 20 knockouts. One of the most electrifying fighters of his generation. But behind every legend, there's an architect. Someone who saw the greatness before anyone else did. Someone who built it, brick by brick, punch by punch, round by round. That architect is Henry Garcia. Chapter 1. The beginning. Henry Garcia didn't come from boxing royalty. He wasn't a former world champion turned trainer. He was a father. A man from Victorville, California, who loved his son and loved the sport. When Ryan was just 7 years old, Henry put gloves on his hands for the first time. Not because he wanted to create a superstar. Because he saw something in his boy. A fire. A speed. A gift that couldn't be ignored. From that moment, Henry dedicated his life to shaping that gift. Every morning. Every evening. Mitt work in the garage. Footwork drills in the backyard. Shadowboxing before school. While other kids were playing video games, Ryan was in the gym with his father. And Henry wasn't just teaching him combinations. He was teaching him discipline. Character. Heart. How to get back up when life knocks you down. Chapter 2. The Amateur Dynasty. The results spoke for themselves. Under Henry's guidance, Ryan Garcia became a 15-time national amateur champion. Let that sink in. 15 times. His amateur record was 215 wins against only 15 losses. A 93% win rate against the best young fighters in the country. Henry built a machine. But more importantly, he built a young man who carried himself with confidence, with purpose, with the belief that he could beat anyone standing across from him. Ryan dreamed of the 2016 Olympics. That dream didn't materialize. But Henry knew something the world didn't yet. His son wasn't meant for amateur glory. He was destined for something bigger. Chapter 3. Going Pro. On June 9, 2016, at just 17 years old, Ryan Garcia turned professional. His first fight was in Tijuana against Edgar Meza. He won by TKO. And who was in his corner? Henry Garcia. From there, the wins kept coming. First round knockouts. Second round stoppages. Highlight reel performances that broke the internet. Ryan became boxing's first true social media superstar, but the foundation of everything was his father's training. Golden Boy Promotions signed Ryan. The spotlight grew. The arenas got bigger. The opponents got tougher. But Henry was always there. Father and son. Coach and fighter. Undefeated together. Chapter 4. The bond that was tested. Success in boxing brings complications. New trainers enter the picture. Advisors. Managers. People who want a piece of the action. And somewhere along the way, Ryan and Henry's partnership was disrupted. Other trainers stepped in. Eddie Reynoso. Joe Goosen. Names with credentials and reputations. But something was always missing. The connection that only a father and son share. The trust that was built over thousands of hours in the gym. It wasn't always easy. There were public moments. Questions from the media. Fans wondering why the most successful partnership in Ryan's career had been sidelined. But Henry never wavered. He never spoke against his son. He never sought the spotlight. He waited. Because that's what a great coach does. A great coach puts the fighter first. Always. Chapter 5. The Reunion. And now, here we are. Las Vegas. February 21, 2026. Barrios vs. Garcia. And Henry Garcia is back in his son's corner. This is more than a comeback story. This is a correction. The universe putting things back where they belong. When Ryan walks to that ring tonight, he'll hear his father's voice. The same voice that taught him his first jab. The same voice that told him to keep his hands up. The same voice that said, "Son, you're going to be a champion." Henry and Ryan Garcia are undefeated together. Think about that. Every single time Henry has been in Ryan's corner as head trainer, they've walked out victorious. Chapter 6. Why Henry Garcia is the greatest. People will argue about the greatest trainers of all time. They'll mention Freddie Roach, Emmanuel Stewart, Angelo Dundee, Floyd Mayweather Sr. But consider what Henry Garcia has done. He took a 7-year-old boy with no boxing pedigree, no connections, no advantages, and turned him into one of the biggest names in the sport. He produced a fighter with 20 knockouts and 24 wins. A fighter who headlined pay-per-view events. A fighter who transcended the sport. And he did it as a father. Not as a hired trainer. Not as someone collecting a paycheck. As a dad who loved his son enough to give him everything he had. That's what separates Henry Garcia. The love is the foundation. The technique, the strategy, the game plans, those are built on top of something unbreakable. A father's love. Chapter 7. Tonight. This fight tonight is bigger than anyone expects. The world is watching Barrios versus Garcia. But the real story is the man in the corner. The man who started this journey 19 years ago in a garage in Victorville. Henry Garcia didn't just train a boxer. He raised a king. And tonight, in Las Vegas, the king and his architect stand together again. Undefeated. Unbroken. Unstoppable. From all of us at I Know Boxing, we salute you, Henry Garcia. The greatest coach of all time. And the greatest father in boxing.